Yo, what up, everybody? Ugh, I said what up live for. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Tap Theory, and today we are talking about the bass side. The bass side of the Chapman stick is tuned entirely in fifths, which means that your lowest note is going to be a low C on the non-X fret, or on the X fret models, a low B. And from there we get C, G, D, A, and then E, right? It's a little bit different of a setup than a classic bass, but it really makes a lot of sense once you start to see the instrument and see the fifths tuning and start to understand the language a bit. So what the fifths tuning does for us is it kind of takes us out of linear shapes a little bit. You know, if I'm going to play a linear scale, I have to move my hand a little bit more or use two hands on one side. Or, you know, something like this. Right? What this opens up to us is nonlinear scales and open chord shapes, and that is really neat, I think so, anyway. So, you know, the same major scale, if I wanted to play a C major scale, but I want to use the linear shape for the treble side, bit different sounding there. And it also opens up, you know, these kind of open voicings that you wouldn't normally get, that are kind of like an odd shape on the treble side, you know. That shape there is, you know, very easy to get without any sort of string skipping on the bass side. It also gives you, you know, access to extended chords that get pretty sweet. Nice and easy like that. You know, all in one location. So let's talk about the basic technique a little bit. With the bass side, I find that my thumb winds up a little bit more in the middle of the neck. Very rarely now will I wind up on this plane here. I'm kind of there, and the pressure on my thumb is right where the second knuckle is. And I'm using that kind of in conjunction. You know, my hand is almost always kind of like a monster mouth shaped, where the tips of my fingers are meeting my thumb. You know, as I get higher on the neck, I'll reach over a little bit more, but for the most part, I'm almost always able to do this if the stick weren't in the way, right? And so you're going to just tap right in the the closest to the fret metal that you can get. And remember, it's right with the tip of your finger, boom, down with a small crook to help you angle it, and it is like hitting with a hammer and then keeping it there. Boom. Don't push too far though, so you don't want to detune your notes. You'd actually be surprised at how little effort it takes to properly play a Chapman stick. Moving on from basic techniques, we've got a number of extended techniques like strumming. All I'm doing there is it's very light, kind of like almost flamenco-y, striking out with my fingernails and back up like a high five or a hitchhiker's thumb on the way back. I'm always staying on my fingernails. Tyler will go down near the pickup a lot and just kind of strum it with his finger. I find myself doing that occasionally too. Each will give you a different tonal quality. You know, the fingernails is going to be a little bit more of a biting sound, a little tinnier, whereas the meat of the finger will give you kind of like a rounder, smoother sound. So it really depends on what you're trying to go for. You know, obviously it's a very guitar-esque technique to use, but I find myself, especially in Geff, playing a lot of guitar parts on the bass side of the Chapman stick. Another extended technique that you can use is, something like harmonics, which I'm going to go over on its own in a video. But basically there's a couple of different ways to activate the harmonics. All you want to do is you want to find your fundamental, which is the note that you're actually fretting, and then 5 frets above your fundamental, 7 frets above your fundamental, or 12 frets above your fundamental. And just kind of lay your finger gently over the fret of your other hand gently over the fret of the harmonic, and then play your fundamental. And then there's plucking, which I actually wind up using a lot on the bass side, especially in body English. What I'm doing here is I'm resting my thumb on the place where the pickup and the body and the neck meet, and then I'm just kind of very lightly doing a little running man over the strings. And this totally changes the tonal quality. It completely rounds everything out. The tap is going to be very percussive and punchy, like that. And the pluck is totally round and smooth. And, it really does completely sound like you're actually playing a bass, which is kind of that chameleon thing. So with plucking, one of the tricks that you want to be able to do, which takes a little bit of practice, is to be gentle enough that your notes come out at the same volume as with tapping. You don't want a big discrepancy where every time you pluck and then you switch to tapping, there's like nothing there. So you gotta, definitely be able to spend a bit of time finding the right volume level for your plucking. And when you can get it to where you can go back and forth between each technique like this, and there's not really much of a volume difference, then you're getting it. There's also muting techniques. I used to do this one where I would put my thumb down across the whole thing. I still use that occasionally if I'm doing chordal stuff, but now I just kind of use a single finger, and if I still want to pluck it, which I usually do when I mute it, I place my finger right on the saddle of the string, and then I roll it back so it's just off of the bridge, and then with my thumb of the same hand, I pluck it. Again, this is the kind of thing where you want to, be able to, if you are plucking it with your thumb, you want to be able to control the volume so that when you switch back to tapping or regular plucking, you're not losing anything. Or, going overboard depending on the technique that you use. So the exercises for this video are all going to be based around parts that I've written for various projects. The main exercise, helping you get used to tapping, muting, and plucking, and how to keep those things even and keep the technique, are all going to be based around a bass line for the chorus part of Lead Feather off of Journey to the Center of the Ear, right? And it's just the chord progression is F, C, E7, A flat major 7, F, again, C, E7, A flat major 7. The only difference is that on the second time through I kind of, right? Give it a little bit more melodic motion. And for the strumming, I'm just going to give you one of the guitar parts that I wrote for the first Geff album in the song I Am the Lamp That Stomps. And it just goes like this. And if you notice, in that part I'm switching back and forth between strumming and tapping on the turnaround. So that's a good opportunity to, again, practice kind of keeping your tone even and your volume even, and like really try to get control between, or get control of switching flawlessly between the techniques. So that's about it. Thanks for watching, and keep exploring. See you next time. Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me.